Today I wanted to talk about some of the changes that I'm making in my Turo fleet, specifically in response to the stuff that's going on in the world. There's a lot of uncertainty globally right now, especially with some of the conflicts going on throughout the world. Here in the United States, at least, we're seeing incredibly high fuel prices that are showing no signs of stopping. We're seeing all sorts of stuff going on, inflation through the roof outside of just fuel prices. And I think all of that leads to the potential for a more price-sensitive Turo customer. So I think as business owners, that is something that we have to adapt, adjust, and prepare for. So today I'm going to talk about some of those things that I'm doing to help me be prepared for where I think the market has already gone and is going to continue to go. So for me, I've always been a big fan of the very small fuel-efficient vehicles as well as SUVs and minivans. And as you know, my minivan did recently pass away at the end of last year, and I was looking at replacing it. For right now, I'm actually leaning towards avoiding that and sticking with more fuel-efficient vehicles. Now, I've had trouble trying to find more Toyota Yaris's, Honda Fits, Mazda 2s. I've been really struggling to find those. So because of that, I've had to adapt sort of my buying strategy, where it used to be just Toyota, Honda, Mazda, occasionally a Hyundai or a Kia or something like that. But now I'm getting to the point where maybe it's out of desperation to find more small fuel-efficient vehicles. I'm willing to expand that search, and I'm willing to try new vehicles because I'm trying to keep my purchase price honestly as low as possible. Since I've been able to purchase a Nissan Altima and a Mitsubishi Mirage, both for $2,500 each at the auction, I'm starting to think that that realistically is the future in that like $2,000 to $4,000 price range. I'm thinking that that $2,000 to $4,000 price range really is my short-term future, at least for now, as long as all this stuff is playing out, because I have to protect the bottom line. The better purchase that I have on the vehicle, then the better my ROI is, and the more prepared I am to weather the storm should there be, a little bit of a downturn in business. I did notice, now that April's come to a close, that some of our business was a little slow in April for some of our vehicles, and I had to lower the prices between 10 and 20% to be able to keep those vehicles out on the road. So obviously, the more money that you spend on the car to acquire it, the harder it is to be able to adapt and still have a sustainable ROI. So that means, as you know, I already purchased a Mitsubishi Mirage. I'm looking into Chevy Sparks. I'm looking into more Hyundais, more Kias, pretty much anything that's out there on the market, more Nissans. I'm still trying to avoid Ford unless it's a truck, but I'm open to anything at this point, as long as it seems like, even if it does have some major quirks, I can work around it. Originally I was dead set against the CVT transmissions, but after some time having a couple of them, our initial one was co-hosted, I learned that as long as you're taking care of the transmission fluid and you're taking care of it before there are any issues with it, for the most part, you should be okay with them, and they may not be the end of the world. Again, I would prefer to have a regular 6-speed automatic, but if I can get one with a CVT for much cheaper, then I definitely think that that is a sustainable business choice moving forward. Of course, these decisions are being made mostly to protect the bottom line here of the business, and also to be able to weather the storm should business take a dip, should we have to lower prices more than we thought we were going to have to lower them. But also, you have to take into consideration there are trade-offs with this approach. You're purchasing the cars cheaper, you're purchasing cars that are known to have more issues, so that means when you are looking at the car and evaluating them, you have to be that much more strict with what you're looking for, and also with your pre-listing maintenance. So that's why today, if you leave a comment down below, let me know what vehicles you're looking at to start your fleet with or to add to your fleet. I'm actually going to give away the SOP for maintenance that we have within the school community, Fleet Freedom. So leave that comment down below. Let me know what you're thinking about for your next car or your first car, and I'll send that over to you and make sure that you get it. But the one thing that I want to really reiterate here, don't forget, everything's going to be okay, but you have to make sure that you are protecting, even though you're paying less, the money that you're spending. So that means if you are going to look at these cars, you want to make sure you're checking them as in-depth as possible. I actually did a video on it that I'll post here, where I was showing you how I evaluate cars that I look at on Facebook Marketplace. Now, if you're going to the auction like I am now, you're not able to do that same full in-depth analysis because you usually can't do a test drive, but you certainly can evaluate the car. You could go through most of the things that we talked about, but make sure that you're checking it as good as you can. I also recommend getting a more professional scan tool, so that way you could do more in-depth tests. You could see like live charts and data and stuff like that, which I will put the affiliate link down below. Doesn't cost you any more, but it does also help support the channel. And also obviously it helps you because you'll be able to make more informed decisions using a better scan tool. Of course, if you're just starting out, one of the cheap $20, $30 ones are also good, but when you're ready to take the business more seriously or scale, this is definitely the one that you want to look at. This is one of my favorite places to come to, just being in nature, especially when, you turn on the news and anywhere else you look, everyone's talking about how crazy the world's getting. It's just something that I think is absolutely crazy. Yes, costs are going up. Yes, you have to make decisions as a business owner. Yes, things are changing, but it doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean it's worth raising your cortisol levels over, losing friends, family members over disagreements. None of that is necessary. None of that is important. Everything's going to work itself out. It's all going to be okay. We just have to pivot. We have to adapt. We have to keep our chameleon likeness where we're able to change to any environment that we're in. And that's really what we're here talking about today. So to recap, so far I have broadened my horizon. I'm trying to buy cars that are more capable of weathering the storm, should that be a reduction in business, or I have to lower the daily trip price to accommodate a more price-sensitive guest. I'm being more cautious when I'm purchasing a car because they are less expensive. They are inexpensive cars. They're brands with more known issues. So because of that, that means that we have to be checking those even more carefully, and we have to really be on top of our pre-trip maintenance to ensure that nothing's going to happen, because we want the guests to have the absolute best experience. We don't want any breakdowns or anything like that. So that's where we're at so far. So as we talked about last week, Turo has made a lot of changes that are attacking the low-end economy model pretty directly. And while it is something that I'm not happy about, it's definitely nothing we could do. So it's not our business. We're not doing direct rentals. We are using their platform. And because we're using their platform, we have to abide by their rules. But that just leads me back to my point that owning cars that are able to weather these storms put you in a much better position, because anything could happen to a vehicle of any age. But considering that we've already built our fleet based on more expensive cars, we discovered the auction model later in our fleet journey, we do still have to protect what we already have and optimize those as best as we can. So let's talk about how we're going to do that. So if you're new to the channel, you might not know this, but we had recently shifted from using mechanic shops, mobile mechanics, etc., to have our cars maintained, to bringing on a contractor to handle all of our maintenance, I guess you would say in-house. So that gets rid of pretty much our labor cost and builds it into a fixed price with performance incentives, and means we only have to pay extra above and beyond for the parts themselves. This has been an absolute game changer for us, a big ROI in terms of how we're able to price things and how we're able to pay to have our fleet maintained. And because of that, it allows us to keep the cars that we do have more profitable. So by doing that, it sets us up to be able to weather a storm, because if we saved 30% or something and added that ROI to our cars, now that becomes sort of the wiggle room that we have to be able to weather this storm, which I don't think it's going to be that bad. But above and beyond, it also incentivizes us, and it also incentivizes the person in charge of handling our maintenance to do more preventative maintenance. because the extra labor cost doesn't really exist. So we're able to do more preventative maintenance, and by doing more preventative maintenance means there hopefully will be less serious repairs that require more time and energy from them, or more diagnosing and all sorts of other problems that could come up from not maintaining the vehicles as well as they should be. Sorry, I got to multitask. I'm on hold with Turo support. Go figure, the Nissan Altima has not been returned by our guest. For some reason, the car was magically unlisted, even though it's on a trip with no complaints. And even though it's unlisted, somebody was able to book the car. Go figure. So I got to get to the bottom of this so it doesn't hurt our account, and also so the person who magically was able to book the car also gets taken care of. But anyway, before they come back, what I would like to say is you have to be on top of your current vehicles, and the most important way to do that is to have a tracker that you're using to be able to keep tabs on all your cars. You know, pen and paper is okay if you have 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 cars, but as you're expanding and scaling your business higher and higher and having more than 10 cars, a dozen cars, whatever, you really need to have a system that tracks it, even flags reminders as you're putting in the data from Turo, letting you know where the mileage is, when the last services were done. And those are things that you could do yourself if you're tech savvy or you're good with a Google Sheet. You also could use AI to be able to do that. I actually did a walkthrough on how I use Claude AI to build a P&L and a maintenance tracker inside the Fleet Freedom community. So you definitely could do your own research, look at that. Or if you were interested in signing up for the community for Fleet Freedom, that's in there, as well as a ton of other value in how I buy cars, how I source cars, how I negotiate, how we've built the remote CEO lifestyle, all of that stuff, so we can travel and enjoy our lives and maximize the dollar amount that we get for our time commitment. So head on to the link below. You can head over to Fleet Freedom, check it out. Otherwise, like I said, leave the comment below and you'll have access to our free maintenance checklist SOP that we have. Well, in closing, I did just hear back from them. Apparently, as soon as you report a late return, now they unlist the vehicle. So it is what it is. Sadly, the person who's coming to pick up the car was a 1-month trip, and I don't get those that often, so I'm a little upset about it, but it is what it is. We're going to try to contact the previous guest and see if they can get the car back, see if the other person's willing to come a little later, and we'll see what we could do. But all that to say, everything's going to be okay. Don't worry too much. Pivot, adapt, survive. Grab the maintenance SOP. Keep your fleet in tip-top shape so that way they're able to be out there performing. And in the meantime, my name's Brandon. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody.